Democratic messaging is too feminine.
We need to have less, like, yappy voices and more men talking.
Pete Hegseth was in Germany this week doing squats with like 220 on the bar outside for no reason.
You men or something. That's all, you know. You men or something.
Something fascinating is happening in American politics, and the mainstream media is struggling to understand it. For years, corporate media shills have pushed narratives that have contributed to the very problems they now pretend to analyze. They've championed the demonization of men, attacked the concepts of the patriarchy, and worked tirelessly to redefine traditional masculinity as something toxic, outdated, or even dangerous. They've elevated identity politics over family values. They've placed radical social agendas above the nuclear family. And they've relentlessly vilified straight, heterosexual Christian men, treating them as a societal problem rather than a cornerstone of stability. And now they're shocked, absolutely stunned, that men, especially young men, no longer feel welcome in their ranks. At the University of Chicago this past week, a crowd lost it when Clay Travis laid out the hard truth. Young men, even those who lean liberal, are increasingly turning toward Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And why? Because they see the writing on the wall. A party that refuses to define what a man is has no place for men who embrace traditional values, strength, and leadership. This shift isn't just political, it's cultural. It's about rejecting the idea that masculinity is inherently bad and embracing the reality that strong men are not the enemy, but a necessity. Let's break it down. Why are young men leaving the Democratic Party in droves? What does this mean for the future of American politics? And most importantly, how do we get here in the first place? I got a couple clips to share with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it.
Come on, but go ahead.
Okay, so what I would start with is men aspire to be bigger, stronger, and faster than we are, almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular. Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No, Mayor Pete. No, well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, you know, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong. And second part of this, basically summing it up, Democrats for men are pussies and Republicans
Democrats for men
are pussies. There are no masculine men in the Democrat Party right now.
The fact that she had to throw out there that Trump's a grandpa, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. One of the most masculine men that I've ever known was my grandfather. You want to talk about a dude that was down to get down, stood on business, always made sure the family was straight, always came through when we were in our times of need? Are you kidding me? Being a grandpa, please, think about it. Most of the most masculine men in our country right now are guys in that generation, you know, that Trump is in right now. Because a lot of the younger generations, they've been raised by, you know, a lot of women, a lot of these single women. And it's unfortunate, but women can't teach men how to be men. They can't do it. So we got a lot of softness going on right now coming up in the ranks. We got a lot of emotional ass dudes out there right now. And excuse my language, but we do. There's a lot of emotional Gen Z and millennials out there. Gen X might be the last bastion of real men. Maybe. There's a few in the younger group, but not a whole lot to choose from. I feel sorry for the young ladies looking for strong husbands, you know, in this next crop of young men, because the pickings are slim. But you guys got to see this. This is a panel interview, or not panel interview, but a panel with CNN, and they discussed this topic. Of course, there's a bunch of women. There's a bunch of Democrats. Y'all know what time it is, but let's check it out. We'll keep it going.
Is he right?
I mean, Eric Adams is still a Democrat-ish, right?
He does push. You think he's masculine?
No, he's buff
Yeah,
for 63 years old. I was going to say Obama when they said right away who's the most. Now, he's slim, but he's athletic. He plays ball.
But is he right that Republican, well, first of all, let me just show you the numbers, because actually the numbers maybe do suggest this. For young men under the age of 29, the swing from 2020 to 2024 in Trump's favor is pretty significant. 49 to 48, Trump to Harris. It's almost tied with young men. Trump did very well with young people relative to what he normally does. There's something going on here.
No, and I mean, this was why, Joe Rogan was so influential in this campaign. Joe Rogan has an audience mostly of young men. There was this whole big drama about whether Kamala Harris was going to give an interview to him, wound up not doing it. I think is probably a mistake, although it probably didn't affect the outcome of the election. But, I mean, I think, that guy said was pretty dumb, but it is not, it is true that Democrats have a problem, especially with young men. I mean, that is a real fact.
So what Clay Travis had to say is dumb, but he has to agree that it's true as to what he's saying. So ridiculous. Such a ridiculous statement.
To me, that, in a way, it validates what Clay Travis is talking about, because if you're trying to get young men, you're not going to get them on all policy points and all the... No, Joe Rogan knows karate, and sometimes he talk about drugs. That's good enough for me. Pete Hegseth was in Germany this week doing squats with like 220 on the bar outside for no reason. That's what the Democrat. I'm being silly, but
and you know what?
serious.
One of the other points that Clay Travis made, and I think this is true. We saw this in real time when Trump had the assassination attempt in Butler. That image of him raising his fist and saying "fight, fight, fight" was like a shot of testosterone in the arms of a lot of men. Mark Zuckerberg was like, "Oh my God, he's so cool."
And
now look at where we are politically with some of these very people really turning politically toward Trump.
Those numbers that you just read, it's been happening for 10 years. This has been happening slowly but surely over time. I think that pollster in that clip earlier had said 2 out of 6 moderate men voted for Trump. It was the majority of moderate men voted for Trump. Even over 20% of liberal men voted for Trump. There has been what is seen as I don't want to say a war on masculinity, but there has been this trend in the Democratic Party, or it's at least felt that the left is becoming more and more hostile to the things that are typically men. And you've seen John Fetterman talk about this idea of like patronizing, calling them bros, or that ad that looked like a spoof at the end of the race of like real men do this. It's like, have you ever talked to a dude in your life? So in James Carville saying, we need to have less like yappy voices and more men talking. And there are many men in the Democratic Party.
Democratic messaging is too feminine. But Carrie, what do you think is the masculinity that they are attracted to in Trump?
I'm laughing because no disrespect to you lovely men on this panel.
We do have
but you men or something. That's all, you men or something. And I can see the appeal of Donald Trump being a very strong masculine man, and I can see him winning over men, because I do agree the Democratic Party, for all intent and purpose, felt like a place for the others, and they tried to take on every issue that the Republicans didn't want. If you want to talk about trans, come here. If you want to talk about LGBTQIA, come here. If you want to talk about men and women, in sports, come here. There were all of these things that I felt men wanted to say felt emasculating. It felt like, I'm not with that. I don't believe in that. And I'm going to go over here because they're saying what I'm thinking.
And the abortion issue played a role in that. I mean, I think they did a political calculation.
And I think no one cared about abortion.
The big thing.
I think no one cared about it. I think everyone thought that was the issue. And when it was all said and done at the end of the day, I'm not saying I don't care about abortion. But what I'm saying is when Kamala made that one of her huge talking points, when Michelle campaigned for her, that was a huge talking point. And then in my mind, I'm all like, well, what happened to these people? I knew that people would be upset about that. And it felt as if it didn't matter, although it does. It felt as if it didn't matter because the conversation about manly men, as we just saw that young man say on the panel, what is his name again?
Clay Travis.
Yeah, I knew that.
And that's why they are losing men. People like Carrie Champion, who I don't think has a husband. She's close to 50. Don't think has ever had one. It's those types of statements, the condescending statements towards men, towards young men. That's why they're losing. That's why. There has been attack on masculinity. There has been a push to push women out into the forefront over men, over young men. They've pushed young men to the back burner when men are the cornerstone of this country. A United States of America wouldn't be the United States of America without men who were willing to risk their lives, put their lives on the lines. Who you think built these skyscrapers? Men willing to jump out there without a whole lot of harnesses and things of that nature. There was no real safety equipment back in the day like that. And even to this day, who is doing the majority of the hard work? There's not too many women willing to go and take that $30, $40 an hour to go dig ditches. It could be $100 an hour and they wouldn't jump out there and do it. And to be honest with you, I don't blame them, but don't turn your nose up at the jobs and don't turn your nose up at those men. The problem with this country right now is we lack families. And when America was great, America had strong families. When America was great, we had strong families. Even during the Jim Crow era, which I know, will ruffle some feathers. But Byron Donald mentioned this. During the Jim Crow era, even, Black people had strong families. And they were raising good children, productive citizens. And we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from it, and it needs to come back. Women are important, but so are men. And we need each other in order to survive, in order to really thrive. We need each other. But the Democrat Party has doubled down on the alphabet community. They've doubled down on these pregnancy terminations. They've doubled down on the matriarchy. They've doubled down on continuing to push this quote unquote toxic masculinity. And you can see that in who they chose, as their DNC chair. This is who they think, is a guy that can help get the young men back in line for the Democrat Party. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to work, but this is who they think can do it.
Take the fight to the Republicans and win this thing. Are you guys ready to fight? It's been a long day, but guess what? We have a long road ahead. Let's go and kick some ass. Let's go win our young people back, and let's stop sending just our thoughts and prayers to address gun violence and do something. Are you ready to do that? Because together, we can make school shooter drills history and not headlines. Are you ready to do that? Together, we can address the housing crisis and so many other issues of our time that are affecting our young people. Because tonight, Malcolm and I won with your support. Thank you so much. You guys rock, and thank you again to Jamie. Thank you to Justin.
All right, enough of this little yappy dude. And Clay is absolutely right. It's a bunch of little yappy dudes like that who wants to stifle one's ability to protect himself and his family. Do you think you're going to get young men trying to overregulate the Second Amendment? Is that the thought? Trying to keep us from protecting ourselves and our families? Do you think that's going to work? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I want you guys to see this. This is a rapper, shout out to Beehive, but this is a rapper from one of my favorite rap groups from back in the day, Goody Mob. This is Big Git, and he is saying something that a lot of folks are saying, and you're starting to see more and more black men. Obviously, there was more and more black men moved over to Trump, but you're starting to see more and more black men see the game that the Democrat has been playing. They're recognizing it, and they're rejecting these Democrats. But check this out right here.
This man got in office and he said, you know what? I'm going to strip away everything and make everybody zero again.
Mm-hmm.
So now the black people, y'all can't talk about what y'all went through. Okay, Jewish people, you can't act like the Holocaust and this and that. People should care about this. The Indians, whatever you went through, we stripping away everybody props.
Yeah.
And we gonna make it even. So at the end of the day, for me personally, you unloaded everybody up on our struggle. Hey man, take it away. And then when we learn that, when we look at the actual DEI list, man, black people at the bottom.
Exactly.
So go on, scratch it.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Because it ain't helping us none anyway. And really, it's just another group who empowered over that, and they putting it on this person, and they just playing the middleman, getting the money and the kickbacks everywhere going on everywhere. So hey, man, like stop using the black face as the face, but it ain't got no power.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson.
Well, now I feel you. So now, do you think exactly? Because I mean, when it comes to the DEI, and then they talking about what all Elon Musk is working on too. He went over there and told the Germans, you know, y'all need to stop feeling guilty all the time. Like you said, scratching everybody back to zero.
Yeah. You just taking everybody. You taking everybody guilt button away. See, if everybody's zero, then I ain't got to care about you. I got to care about what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And I think right now, really where we are right now, everybody should want to be judged on what they got right now, not about what somebody else did or somebody else went through. Because that man just walked up into the Treasury office with nothing but 20 to 25-year-old human beings, and they going through all the paperwork.
Yeah.
So that lets you know. And then for the other part, the Democrats, y'all just look like a bunch of women screaming at the camera right now with no power. This is like the old saying, you a dog, you're barking at the moon.
Yeah.
He ain't got no power.
He's absolutely right. And that's exactly what they look like. A bunch of women yapping at the daggone moon. That's what the Democratic Party is right now. And that's what they've been for quite some time. They had 4 years to show us who they are and what they are about, and they failed miserably. They've been pushing this matriarchal society. They've been pushing this Marxist socialist agenda for quite some time. And the people are rejecting it. We don't want it. And young men especially are saying, no. Young men in general, we want to be judged based off of our character. We want to be judged based off of our merit and our ability to perform and produce. That's why we love sports so much. We enjoy the competition. Why do you think there's so many men in sales? We embrace the competition. Democrats want to take it away. Talk with this whole equity conversation. Equity. Everybody ends up at the same spot, no matter how good or bad or how much or how little you worked. Men reject that. And honestly, it actually goes against the word of God. And I'm glad that someone like a Clay Travis, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he has to say, but he's on point with this particular statement. And if you recall, if you go back and look at the beginning when he was saying what he was saying, they couldn't refute it. The young lady that was sitting next to her, the look on her face said a million words. You couldn't refute it. The CNN panel, they couldn't refute it. It couldn't refute it. And the thing is that you have a lot of women out there that want, love, and need masculine men. So they're also rejecting the foolery that the Democrat Party is pushing. They're rejecting it. You have a lot of women across the world that are rejecting this feminist matriarchal society that, a lot of these people want to push. They went over to Saudi Arabia and the women over there told them, we don't want it. Take that stuff back to the West. We're not interested. We're good with not working and taking care of our households and making sure that our husband and our children are good. We are good doing that. We're okay. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on. Make sure y'all go click the button. You'll see click the all button so you never miss an upload. I appreciate everybody that supports the channel, man. If you'd like to go the extra mile, consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. Link in the description box below. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp,